CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level Exam, and CLAT examinations. And this session will certainly help you to crack prelims and mains examinations. So before that, about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are: I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations, internal security, and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will certainly help you to crack prelims and mains examinations, because throughout my session I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases. And these keywords and the key phrases which I would be emphasizing throughout my lecture would certainly be helpful for you in regards to the preliminary examinations and also in regards to the mains examinations, because in the preliminary examinations, by emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, we will identify the factual, analytical, and the conceptual questions which are very important for the preliminary examination. And in regards to the mains examinations, by imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, that is in the mains examinations, then you will be in the mode of making sure that your answers in the mains are precise and concise. And once your answers are precise and concise, so certainly you would be scoring higher marks. So by the session of the AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis, you would be definitely benefited, and this session will help you to crack both prelims and mains, both for year 2020 as well as 2021. And now today we will be taking up the daily news analysis, that is in regards to the 16th of September 2020. And before I get into the topic of the daily news analysis, I would wish to say a good morning to all, one and all, the one who is in the live and also in the live chat. So good morning to everyone. Azmat, Praveen Kumar, Kalyan Chakravarti, Nernika Suresh, all the one who are also in the live. A warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And the quote of the day, which is of Nelson Mandela, the great world leader. He says, "May your choices reflect your hopes. May your choices reflect your hopes, but not your fears." So definitely your choices should definitely reflect the hopes, but not the fears. So hopes, but not the fears, said by Nelson Mandela. And now we'll get into the topic. China has massively deployed troops along LAC, says Rajnath Singh. So we have been following this news since the month of May. So various updates have been make sure that it is being brought to the civil servant aspirants to the AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And for the first time we have seen the Defense Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh has informed the Lok Sabha. So we are looking at the information which has been given by the Defense Minister of India, that is Mr. Rajnath Singh, to the Lok Sabha on September 15th. So we will look at brief what we have been getting the entire information from the month of May till almost till September first week in regards to the 5-point course of action. But we will focus on what Defense Minister has informed the Lok Sabha, so which would be very useful information. So he has made it very clear that, which is official information now, that China has mobilized a large number of troops and armaments along the LAC and also the depth area. So what we were discussing all these months, now it is official that the Defense Minister has informed the Lok Sabha, that is the People's Representative House, that China has mobilized large number of troops and armaments along the LAC and depth areas, that is in regards to the friction areas. And he has also pointed that yes, certainly there are various conflict areas and friction areas along the eastern Ladakh area, that is, as we have been discussing in the past, that is the Gogra, Kongala, and then Pyongyang Tso Lake, and even in regards to Galwan Valley, Depsang Plains, and then Chuzul sector, Daulat Beg Oldie, Shock River, all these are the friction areas and the conflict areas which even the defense minister has pointed out in his speech, which he has informed to the Lok Sabha, and he has made it very clear that the Chinese side, both India is trying to clear the Chinese, I mean the kind of the line of actual control, the kind of face off or the skirmish which is being going on. India is definitely trying with various channels, that is, as we discussed in regards to the military level talks, defense level talks, special representative level talks. So defense minister has made it very clear that India is also trying very hard diplomatically and militarily. So it is using various channels, and then there are two channels which India has kept open and then continuously talking with the Chinese side is the diplomatic and the military channels, and then definitely we are making sure that there would be some kind of solution to the skirmish or the face off between India and China along the LAC. But China has said that by such actions, that China was by such actions attempting to unilaterally alter the status quo. So here in this case, we are making it very clear, India is making it very clear that China unilaterally is altering the status quo. So here you have the two keywords. One is unilaterally is the keyword, and the status quo is another keyword. So these keywords, please try to keep it in mind, which will be very useful while you are framing your short notes or writing the answer writing practice in regards to the mains examination. So what is very important is unilaterally. Unilaterally in the sense wherein China is not really getting in touch with India, and then on its own, unilaterally in the sense on its own it is taking decision in regards to the status quo. So I made it very clear what does status quo means. It means that present situation. Present situation. So definitely India is pressing for the status quo, wherein India wanted that India will only consider the status quo which is of April month 2020. April month 2020. And before I get into the topic or the next slide, I would say a very good morning to Prithviraj, Rahul, Madhu, Ramkumar, D. Suvarna, Kalyan Chakravarti, all, everyone. Okay, Kalyan Chakravarti says mobilize. Mobilize means they are getting the troops. They are making sure that the troops are at the LAC, line of actual controls. They are mobilizing. That means they have brought in. They have brought in many troops and soldiers or armaments, both troops and armaments. And Mr. Singh, that is defense minister, has also made it very clear that the amazing of the troops, that is what, mobilizing of the troops or getting the troops between India and China in regards to the LAC is against, he says, the kind of troops which have been mobilized or stationed along the LAC is against 1993 and 1996 agreements. So we have the agreements and protocols between India and China in regards to the boundary affairs. We have 1993 agreement, 1996 agreement, and then 2002, and then 2012, and then 2013 also we have. So definitely these are all the agreements which are there, and these are the one which the defense minister is making it very clear that they have been violating all these agreements which have been taken place between India and China. Especially is focusing on the 1993 and 1996 agreements in regards to the border affairs between India and China. And once they are going ahead with amazing of the troops, that means the respecting and observing of the LAC, which is the basis of the peace and tranquility, because one of the agreement is maintaining the peace and tranquility along the border areas. So once you are mobilizing the troops, so you are disrespecting and you are not observing the agreements which have been signed between India and China in regards to the border areas. That is what Mr. Singh is making it very clear in the House, that is in Lok Sabha, and he has also made it very clear that the 5-point course of action which has been agreed by both the foreign ministers, if it is implemented, he says that the 5-point course of action, it is in regards to the disengagement and de-escalation of the troops or the tension along the LAC if implemented sincerely and faithfully. So there is a doubt that whether China will implement even the 5-point course of action plan which has been agreed between both the foreign ministers in the Moscow along the sidelines of the SCO summit, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit or ministerial talks which has taken place in Moscow. If it is implemented sincerely and faithfully, then there would be complete disengagement and there would be a restoration of peace and tranquility. So a very big if is now the question mark which is in the minds of India and many of them, that whether China will really even follow or agree in toto the 5-point course of action. And Union Parliamentary Affairs Ministry has made it very clear that the issue could not be discussed in the public platform. That is, the issue which is in regards to the India-China along the LAC, the Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi has made it very clear we cannot go ahead with discussing it because as it is sensitive and it is related to national security. So these two are the keywords: sensitivity or sensitive issue, and it is pertaining to national security. So for that, the Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister has said we cannot discuss it in an open platform. And Navin Reddy has joined, Pratham Chauhan has joined. A warm welcome to both of you to AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. Pratham, a warm welcome to you also after a long time, probably almost more than a month or 2 months. Okay, fine. So I'll get into the next topic, that is India has surplus medical oxygen. So we know that the SARS-CoV-2 virus is the one which infects or which affects the lungs, and once it affects the lungs, so that means definitely there is shortage of oxygen in the blood, and once that shortage of oxygen in blood, so that will lead to various complications, and then within no time the infected person might lose his life, or he might be, there would be death instantaneously. So we would be looking at the keyword here, medical oxygen. So medical oxygen is the keyword, not oxygen but medical oxygen for prelims point of view in regards to the science and technology. So Health Ministry, the Union Health Ministry has made it very clear that there is no shortage of supply of medical oxygen in the country, but rather they say that there is surplus of production of medical oxygen, which is very, very necessary and which is a need of the hour for the COVID-19 pandemic situation or COVID-19 pandemic cases. So the Union Health Ministry has made it very clear there is no shortage of supply of medical oxygen. And the other news is that India has raised past, or it has crossed 50 lakh mark, 5 million, 50 lakh mark of the COVID cases in India, and the overall tally is now 50 lakhs 12,736 cases, and the fatalities, that is the new one per day, 1,340, and the death toll rose to complete, overall death toll is 82,169. It is inching towards 1 lakh. So we have surpassed the 5 million or 50 lakh mark in regards to the COVID cases. And the ministry has also, as it says, there is no shortage, and then it is in regards to the country has surplus production. The ministry is also cautioning the hospitals that they should have a robust inventory management. So this is again an important, useful keyword for you in regards to the prelims as well as mains, while you are mentioning or while you are preparing your answers, while you are preparing your short notes for your mains answers. So we should have a robust inventory management. So he is cautioning the hospitals to come up with a robust inventory management, and he is encouraging that there should be rationalized use of oxygen. So rationalized in the sense, wherever it is really required only, you need to go ahead with the usage of the medical oxygen, so that they should ensure that no artificial scarcity. So the hospital should first check that there is no artificial scarcity which is created. No artificial scarcity which is being created. They should ensure that, and then later on the hospital should go ahead with rationalize, or they should encourage only rationalized use of oxygen. And then the ministry is cautioning that the hospitals should go ahead with the robust inventory management. And along with that, the ministry is also focusing on various states, that is Delhi, Bihar, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. And the center is, or the government or the union health ministry is directing these states to increase their COVID-19 testing. That is Delhi, Bihar, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, to increase the COVID-19 testing. Why? Because we need to be able, India has to be able to catch any missing persons. So we should be able to catch any missing persons. We should able to catch any missing persons who are asymptomatic, but who would be making sure that there would be a super spreader. So here the keyword is, as we discussed, it is the medical oxygen. And the states are also informed by the Union Health Ministry that what the importance of RT-PCR, that is real-time polymerase chain reaction test of symptomatic negative. So whenever there is an antigen test being conducted on an infected person, or the one who feels that it has to be tested, he or she has some kind of symptoms. So when there is an antigen test and then he is negative, so the states are informed that they have to go ahead with the RT-PCR, wherein the symptomatics are, or the result is negative in the antigen test, so that we can catch the missing persons. So the important key phrase is, we should be able to catch the missing persons who is asymptomatic but having the virus which is being loaded in the body. So now we will look at the medical oxygen. This is the additional information which I am providing for you all, so that it will be very, very useful for you in regards or perspective of UPSC prelims and mains examination. So there could be a question in the prelims asking about the medical oxygen. So as we know that in the atmospheric air, you have 21% of oxygen, 78% of nitrogen, 1% of argon and other gases such as neon and xenon. So what happens is, there is a special techniques which is deployed to collect the pure oxygen. So we wanted pure oxygen, that is the medical oxygen. So the pure oxygen is collected by a special technique, and they separate oxygen from atmosphere, that is nitrogen, argon, xenon and then neon. So from this they separate the pure oxygen by a special technique, and then they go ahead with the separation and distillation of atmospheric air, apart from the other gases, that is nitrogen, argon, neon and xenon. So definitely it is a pure oxygen. So the medical oxygen is a pure oxygen, and once this oxygen is collected, it is inspected and packaged into different grades. This is a keyword again. The keyword here is different grades, and pure oxygen is the keyword, both. So different grades, and these grades are being used in various categories such as welding oxygen. It is used in welding oxygen, that the different grades of the oxygen which is later on what is inspected and packaged. Aviation breathing oxygen, research grade oxygen, please do understand here, research, and then medical oxygen. So it is used in welding, it is used in aviation, welding, aviation and then research and medical. So you need to know that the oxygen which is separated from the atmospheric air, which is a pure oxygen, is again segregated into different grades and used for welding oxygen, aviation breathing oxygen, research grade oxygen, medical oxygen. And now this medical oxygen is very, very useful and important, because as the COVID-19 patient and the SARS-CoV-2, when it gets, or it is infecting the individual, it induces shortage of oxygen in the body. Once there is shortage of oxygen in the body, that is in the lungs, so immediately the patient has to be shifted to oxygen therapy. So here this is another keyword, oxygen therapy, or simply we can use it as that a person should be put on ventilators. Why? Because he will be given an oxygen supply, external oxygen supply, so that all the vital organs will be functioning actively, so that we can save the infected person. And this oxygen, that is the medical oxygen or the pure oxygen, acts as a lifesavers of the COVID-19 patients. So the medical oxygen, the term is very, very useful in regards to the UPSC examination point of view. So Pratham has said, is a situation of status quo included in the 5-point program, since China has always urged for status quo in all such disputes? Yeah. So definitely if you look at the 5-point, they wanted to make sure that they all agree to the agreements and the protocols of the India-China border affairs, and definitely we wanted to come up with a new confidence building measures. So that itself depicts that we are very particular about the status quo. And there is another news which talks about US welcomes India's role in Afghan talks. So this is also in news, that is in regards to the Afghan peace. So this is in news for almost 1 month or so. But here for the first time, India has spoken to the Taliban in the peace process, that is in regards to the intra-Afghan negotiations. So this is a keyword here. Please do understand all the keywords, and I am very specifically saying that once you are into the mode of identifying the keywords, you are bang on target of what UPSC is demanding from the civil servant aspirant. So for the first time, India has took the plunge, engaging itself with the Taliban, because India is in the view that always it says that terror and talks cannot go together. This is the key phrase of India, that terror and talk cannot go together. It could be in regards to the Pakistan terrorist organizations, or even in regards to the Taliban, which are creating lot of chaos or disturbance to the Afghanistan government or the military in Afghanistan. So for the first time, India has taken the plunge in what? In engaging with the Taliban. This is a crucial information, or the crucial scenario, or the crucial the kind of situation which is prevailing, which is beneficial, that India is taking a different kind of foreign policy or negotiation skills to make sure that there is peace restored. In the regional area, or in the heart of Asia, that there is peace restored. So for that, India has plunged into engaging with Taliban for what? Intra-Afghan negotiations. And that intra-Afghan negotiations wherein India has been engaged, it has been taken up by US Special Representative of Afghan Reconciliation, that is Zalmay Khalilzad, and the External Affairs Minister of India, S. Jaishankar. Along with that, you have the National Security Advisor, that is Ajit Doval, with Foreign Secretary, that is Harsh Shringla. So 4 of them have sat, and then they had a virtual meeting, and India has been ready to be part of the engagement for the intra-Afghan negotiation. This is crucial, intra-Afghan negotiation. And because India has come forward, Mr. Khalilzad, the US Special Representatives on Afghanistan Reconciliation, has appreciated India's participation in the intra-Afghan negotiation, which has been which is held in Doha, and it is ongoing in Qatar, that is in Doha, the intra-Afghan negotiation. Please do understand, intra-Afghan negotiations are the ongoing. Now it is happening in Doha, and on September 12th, India has participated in the intra-Afghan negotiation, which is being held in Doha, and this is important for prelims point of view, UPSC prelims perspective, that the intra-Afghan negotiation where India has been engaged with the Taliban to make sure that there is Afghan peace or there is peace restored in the Afghanistan has been held in dash Doha, Qatar, and then both the countries have briefed and they are wanted to share the perspective of Afghan peace process. And both India and US have discussed various steps and possible cooperations that they both will work together for the Afghan peace process. They both will work, that is India and US have come together and they are taking various steps and possible cooperation so that both will work for the Afghan peace process. So definitely the peace in the Afghan region, that is in the heart of Asia, is certainly very, very strategically important for US, Russia, as well as India. Now, both the sides, that is India and US, are stressing for the need of regional support. So they want regional support for what? Afghan peace process. And they wanted that Taliban would be brought under. This is very, very conceptual understanding. So why they wanted Afghan peace and why the Taliban is part of the Afghan peace deal? Why Talibans are part of the Afghan peace deal, which was brokered by US? Because they wanted Talibans to be brought into the political mainstream in Kabul. Please do understand. They wanted Taliban to be brought into the political mainstream in Kabul and on the importance of ending transnational terrorism from Afghan soil. So this is you can use it in your as a short notes in your answer writing. The main both are stressing for the regional support, and they wanted the Taliban to be brought into the political mainstream so that there would be end to the transnational terrorism. Definitely, both the countries, that is United States, US and India, are sharing the view in regards to the peace process, and they wanted to come up with an agreement which is in regards to the political roadmap and a comprehensive and a permanent ceasefire. So both the countries are working, coordinating for a comprehensive and a permanent ceasefire so that the Taliban would be into the political mainstream and that would end the transnational terrorism. And as I said, for the first time, Indian officials have addressed a gathering that included the Taliban. For the first time, and Indian officials have addressed a gathering that included the Taliban, which India has thus far considered Taliban as a terror group. So always India says terror and talks cannot go together. You shred your terrorism activities, then we will have a discussion on the talks, what India says. But for the first time, Indian officials have been addressing the gathering, which the gathering was included by the Talibans. And before I get into the next topic, Kondal has joined, Venkat Naik have joined. A warm welcome to both of you, Kondal and Venkat Naik. Pratham says, what was a major catalyst for such a critical shift in Indian diplomacy regarding Afghan peace? Yes, certainly, as I said, heart of Asia. Which is heart of Asia? No doubt, Afghanistan is the heart of Asia. Fine. And I said, the heart of Asia, that is Afghanistan, is geostrategically very important for US and Russia. At the same time, it is important for India so that there is peace restored in its bordering countries or bordering nations. Why? Because if we are able to have that deal, which we can make sure that India is part of it and then Taliban would be in the main political mainstream, so we can indirectly win over Pakistan, sidelining Pakistan, and then we can make sure that there is peace restored in the POK and also in Taliban, and further India can also make sure that to the world nation or to the United Nations and the United Nations Security Council that yes, we are a country wherein we are striving very hard for the peace to be restored, not only with the government officials or the government of the day, we are having a discussion of the talks, but also we are talking to the terrorist organizations so that the peace is restored back in particular areas, that is, it could be in India neighboring countries, or else in any part of the world, and then India can say that we are ready for the permanent member, not for the, what you say, non-permanent member. We are ready for the permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. So I think Pratham, you have understood this. Yes, definitely. And we will now look at the new powers for civil aviation regulators. So a new powers have been given to the Director General of Civil Aviation, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. So we will look at how these powers, statutory powers, have been empowered to them. So there was, a bill was passed, and which is this bill? And this is a keyword. And this is a keyword for you in regards to the UPSC prelims point of view. So this is a bill. So Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 was passed in the Lok Sabha on March 17. Please do understand, it is not a new. In Lok Sabha, it has been passed on March 17 before the national lockdown. And it was also been in the passed in the Rajya Sabha on September 15, that is yesterday. And this Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 is in regards to the privatization. Is in regards to the privatization of airports. So this is another keyword. So the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 is pertaining to privatization of airports, and the upper house has passed the bill by a voice vote, and this voice vote is again important for you in regards to the prelims, that is polity perspective. UPSC polity prelims perspective point of view, voice vote is a, what is a very general one, which is normally used by just asking the number of people's representatives, the MPs, saying that who are saying yes or who are saying no, or you say ayes or no, AYES, ayes or no. So it is a just voice vote, whichever the voice is high, ayes or yes. So it is a voice vote. So this has been passed, bill has been passed by a voice vote. So this could be again part of your question in the prelims, which among the following is incorrect. That is, the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020, which was passed in the House Sabha, was by a voice vote. Yes, it is right. It is passed by a voice vote. And the bill, this bill, that is Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020, it gives statutory powers to the Director General of Civil Aviation. This is again very important from prelims point of view. So if it is giving which among the following statements, so it gives powers, the bill gives statutory powers, that is the law, parliamentary law, power by parliament. Director General of Civil Aviation, it gives powers to Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and also to the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. So it gives power to Director General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, and the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and Aircraft Investigation Bureau. So these three have been given statutory powers by the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020. So that is why it is very, very useful information for prelims polity or prelims again in regards to civil aviation, because there would be certainly one question in regards to the aviation or civil aviation in UPSC prelims. And this bill empowers the DGCA to levy the penalties, and this is the another one which the bill empowers the DGCA to levy, that is to impose the penalties up to 1 crore rupees, up to 1 crore rupees. And the amendments which we are talking about, the Civil Aviation Amendments Act 2020, it addresses several regulatory shortcomings So it is also, or it has also focused on the previous shortcomings, or the one which were not really focused were also highlighted, which were highlighted by the aviation watchdog, that is the United Nations and US. So which was highlighted by the United Nations or the USA, that means the various regulatory mechanism which is supposed to be implemented, but they were not implemented, they were shortcomings, that is international. So which are the one which is aviation watchdog? So aviation watchdog is the keyword here. Aviation watchdog is a keyword. So International Civil Aviation Organization and then the Federal Aviation Authority, or the aviation watchdog of United Nations and US. Please do understand, International Civil Aviation Organization and Federal Aviation Authority are the watchdogs, aviation watchdogs of United Nations and US. And while they were auditing in regards to the safety and security of the Indian aviation ecosystem. So another keyword here is Indian aviation ecosystem is the another keyword which the aviation watchdog of United Nations US were actually auditing. They got to know that there are various regulatory shortcomings, and those shortcomings which were identified during the audits of the United Nations and the US aviation watchdog was also addressed. And this amendments also recognizes various regulatory bodies such as Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and then Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which earlier governments or through various other notifications they did not have any kind of defined roles. Now, as I said, now they have been given statutory powers for DGCA, I said, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. So now if you look at, yes, now they have identified or recognized the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and statutory powers were given to it. Aircraft Accidental Investigation Bureau was not really having a defined role, both of them earlier, but earlier in the sense to the present act. So which act? We are talking about the Amendment Act 2020 now, Civil Aviation Amendment Act 2020 now, but we are talking about the Parent Act. So which is the Parent Act? We will look at it, don't worry. So these are the ones which have been taken up in the Civil Aviation Amendment Act in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in the month of March and now September. And then Ravi Kishore, Ram Kumar have joined. A warm welcome to both of you. And Pratham says, can you please explain what happens when a particular body gets a statutory status? What are the major changes takes place? Its legal, judicial and executive status. Yes, definitely. See, when we are talking about it, looks into the security. So it looks into the Pratham. If you have looked at my, if you have keenly observed my explanation, so the regulatory shortcomings. So what are the regulatory shortcomings? Safety and security. So that will be looked at, safety and security of the Indian aviation security ecosystem. Apart from that, we were talking about the DGCA has been given or empowered to levy penalties. So here again in regards to the levying, that is imposing, demanding the penalties. So definitely it is a positive outcome. So civil aviation will not run short of money. That is why it is privatization of airports. I think you have understood the gist of it, Pratham. And now we will focus on the Civil Aviation Acts, about Civil Aviation Act. So this is again an additional information which will be very, very useful for you for UPSC prelims as well as mains examination, because the news what we are talking about is only this, the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020. This is what we were talking about, Civil Aviation's regulatory, that is the Aircraft Amendment Bill which has been passed, and it is a privatization of airports. So there could be a possibility that the question could be framed on the previous acts. There could be acts one side and year on the other side. Match the following: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So for this have taken this. For this, I have taken this so that it will be very, very useful for you. Aircraft Act, which has initially started in the year 1934, and then later on you have the Tokyo Convention Act 1975. From 34 to post independence is the one, that is 1975 Tokyo Convention. See, please do understand here, I was talking about these two, that is Bureau regulatory bodies, that is Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, did not have any defined role under the Parent Act. Under the Parent Act. So this is the key word. Why I have taken all the acts right from the Parent Act is because the regulatory bodies, that is Bureau of Civil Aviation Security and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, as they did not have any defined role under the Parent Act. So the keyword is Parent Act. So there could be a possibility that UPSC might frame a question on the acts based on the Parent Act, not really focusing on the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020. It might not focus, I am saying it will not, it might not focus the recent one, that is Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020, now this latest, but there could be a possible question framing on the Parent Act. So that is why I have taken this. So the Parent Act is what? Aircraft Act 1934. Later on 1975, and you have the Airport Authority of India Act, AAI Act, in the year 1994, and later on it was amended in the year 2003. And then you have, after that, in the year 2002, you have the Foreign Aircraft Exemptions from Taxes and Duties on Fuel and Lubricants Act. So foreign aircraft exemptions from taxes and duties. So it is foreign aircrafts. Foreign aircrafts which have been exempted from taxes and duties on Fuel and Lubricants Act. So that was in the year 2002. And in the year 2008, you have another act which has come up, that is Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India. It is in regards to the Economic Regulatory Authority of India. You have Airport Authority of India Act 1994. Please do understand. You have Airport Authority of India Act. It is not Airport Authority. It is airport, but what is added here is included is Economic Regulatory. So Airport Authority of India, what is included, the key word is Economic Regulatory. So that was included in the year 2008. There could be a possibility that the Economic Regulatory word was included in the Airports Authority of India in which among the following acts. So it is Airports Economic Regulatory Authority of India 2008, and then later on another act has come up, that is Carriage by Air Act and Amendment 2009. And then you have the Rajiv Gandhi National Aviation University Act in the year 2013, and the one which is also important in regards to the Internal Security Anti-Hijacking Act 2016, and then the Carriage by Air Amendment Act 2016. So you have this Carriage by Air Act and Amendment 2009, and that was amended again in the year 2016. And now the recent one is Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 privatization. So this can be used by UPSC by framing a question in the prelims in regards to the match the following acts and the years. So please, this is a useful information which I am providing, which is an additional information which is not part of the newspaper. And now we look at the other news which talks about Ajit Doval. Who is Ajit Doval? As we know, he is the National Security Advisor. So he has walked out of the SCO interaction. So we will look at why he has walked out of the SCO interaction. So he was, the National Security Advisor was participating in a virtual interaction, and while he was participating in the virtual interaction, he has left the meeting in the midway. Why? Because after Pakistan displayed the map prominently behind its delegation. So we know that Pakistan has come up with its new political map. Pakistan has come up with its new political map on August 4th, exactly 1 year of the abrogation of Article 370 and 35 in India on August 4, 2019. So August 4, 2020, Pakistan has come up with a new political map, and that political map which Pakistan has displayed as a newly unveiled political map during the meeting of National Security Advisor. So it was a National Security Advisors meeting which was being taken up as a virtual interaction on the sidelines of the SCO, or Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the National Security Advisors of the member countries of the SCO meeting which was taking place. Then Pakistan has displayed its new political map. So that was not accepted, and hence the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has left the meeting in the midway. And Pakistan's use of this fictitious map as a backdrop, it was using this as a backdrop for its representative depicting sovereign Indian territories as part of Pakistan. So the Indian territories were shown as part of Pakistan, and which is a blatant violation. This is a keyword. Showing the map which are the sovereign Indian territories as part of Pakistan in the National Security Advisor level meetings in the member countries of the SCO is a blatant violation of the SCO Charter. Why I have taken this is important. Blatant violation of the SCO Charter is the key phrase for you all as a civil servant aspirant. Why? Because there are established norms for what? For safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the SCO members states. So when there is an established norms of safeguarding the sovereignty and integrity of the SCO member states, 8 SCO member states, so how can Pakistan go ahead with a map on the backdrop of its representatives? And that is a blatant violation of the SCO Charter by Pakistan. And Pakistan on August 4th have come up with or unveiled or come up with a new map which they have shown almost entire region of Jammu and Kashmir and also Junagadh and Manwadar. And this could be again prelims point of view. Which among the following were not part of the new political map which was unveiled by Pakistan? So Jammu and Kashmir was there, Junagadh was there, and Manawdar. So we will look at this. So this is what? Almost the Gilgit and Baltistan area now. It is being shown as the Pakistan. And then this in Gujarat. This is in the Junagadh and Manwadar. So but for better explanation I have taken this. So you have to focus this way. So National Security Advisor has moved out of it. But what are the keywords is blatant violation of the SCO Charter is a keyword. And there are established norms of safeguarding the sovereignty and integrity of the SCO members. This is a key phrase. And there is another news which talks about RBI uses draft on rupee IR derivatives. So this is in regards to the economy. So RBI has issued a draft on what? On rupee IR derivatives, and this is a keyword for prelims as well as conceptual understanding for mains examinations. Rupee IR derivatives. So what is IR? Interest rate. IR is interest rate. So rupee interest rate derivatives. So the RBI on September 15, 2020 has proposed what? It has proposed allowing the FPIs, that is foreign portfolio investors, to undertake exchange traded rupee interest rate derivative transactions. This is very important. So RBI has proposed allowing the foreign portfolio investors to undertake exchange traded rupee interest rate derivatives transactions. This is the key phrase. But it is subjected to, that is, you have norms, you have set rules and regulations. subject to overall ceiling. That means the entire cap of it is, that is the trading can take place. Exchange trading, rupee interest rate derivative transaction can take place or can be allowed by the FPIs only up to 5,000 crores. This is crucial information from preliminary UPSC perspective point of view. So RBI has proposed, please do understand this word, proposed, draft, proposed what? FPIs to undertake exchange traded rupee interest rate derivative transactions, but ceiling of 5,000 crores. So now we will focus at what is interest rate derivatives. Again, this is a keyword which is crucial for prelims. So interest rate derivatives are what? They are contracts whose value is derived from one or more interest rates, comma, prices of interest rate instruments or interest rate indices. So instruments, indices, and on the interest rates it depends, and it is a contract. It depends upon the value which is derived from the interest rates. It is the value which is derived from the interest rates, prices of the interest rates instruments or interest rates indices. So that is the interest rate derivatives. And the proposed directions are aimed at what? What is the advantage of it? What we are looking at is, all these are when RBI has issued a draft on rupee IR derivatives, how it will be benefited. That is, it is aimed at encouraging non-resident or higher non-resident participation. It is enhancing the role of domestic market makers of the offshore. That is, the domestic market makers, the Indians who are in the other countries, they will have more of role and improve transparency and achieve better regulatory oversight. So these are the one which are the advantages, or you can directly take it as a short notes for your mains examination in regards to the rupee IR derivatives. You can write it even for prelims, because it can be asked in regards to the which among the following statements is incorrect. So this is, that is rupee IR derivative. It encourages higher non-resident NRI participations. It enhances the role of domestic market makers in the offshore market, that is in the foreign countries, improve transparency, and they will achieve better regulatory oversights. So this is the very important or crucial information in regards to the economy, prelims point of view, rupee IR derivatives. And Pratham says, can we say that controlling the inflation rate was a major reason for such trading rates? Yes. So this one is, we'll make sure that it is an exchange traded rupee interest rate. And now we will recapitulate the daily news analysis. So the first one was the defense minister, who has made it very clear to the nation, that is in the Lok Sabha. He has made it very clear to the Lok Sabha about the Chinese which have been deploying troops massively, and India has surplus medical oxygen. So we have focused on the medical oxygen, which is again very important for prelims point of view. So focus this medical oxygen for prelims point of view in regards to the science and technology for current affairs. And this again in regards to the international relations, the role of India in the Afghan or intra-Afghan negotiations, new powers for civil aviation. Again, this is very, very crucial for you for the preliminary examination, that is Civil Aviation Acts. We have looked at right from 1934 to 2020. So do focus for prelims point of view. And this again we have been looked at because there are charters and there are regulations in regards to the scope. And this is again economy point of view, which we are focused on the rupee IR derivatives. So all these are very crucial information from the AKS IAS daily news analysis, which will be very useful for you. And all these are informative, knowledgeable, and definitely it will make you have an edge over others in the prelims as well as mains examinations. And I would say a very big thank you to you all and a good luck to you all. And then do like the video, share the video, and then also do subscribe the video. Do visit AKS IAS website and also subscribe the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy. And I would again come up tomorrow at 7:30 AM for the daily news analysis. Do stick to your consistency and also in regards to the schedule, and then take care of your physical and mental health. Then see you tomorrow at 7:30 AM with the daily news analysis at AKS IAS Academy.